y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we're about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Hey y'all, this is April.
This is Caroline.
And we have a special guest here. Go ahead.
Should I say hi, Pete? This is Pete.
Pete? Who's Pete?
Pete Sousa, friend of the show.
Officially.
Yeah, friend of the network. I got a podcast here. I do some other stuff around town. And
tell us about your podcast.
Podcast is the Payoff with Pete. I mean, and this is why I tell people you can. It's about getting sober. And if you get sober, you can go anywhere you want. Because, here we are. It's happy. Like, that's the idea, to get sober and to have fun. Because now you can sit down with people drinking White Claws all night.
Are you on the wrong show?
Did you actually accidentally get on the wrong show?
Oh, no. I've been ready for this for 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So you're good with us drinking our White Claw?
Oh, knock yourself out.
So Payoff with Pete is not how to get out of debt.
It's not how to get out of debt. Sober. Honestly, though, I should start listening to one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can have both, yeah. And
tell us what your day job is.
My day job is I do news here in Waco. Do the morning show. I get up real early. But I'm shot out of a cannon tonight because I got tomorrow off, which is good. And I do some other stuff. I do some sports play-by-play.
Yes.
So I try to keep busy. Yeah.
So if you recognize his voice, it's because he is Waco famous.
Waco famous. I'll take it.
Pretty much.
So what we usually do is we embarrass all our guests.
Okay.
And we ask random questions.
Wait, first, I want to ask something else about your podcast. Mm-hmm. Is there a story behind how you came up with the idea of doing that, or do you have a personal story?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sober for about 10 years, and my whole thing was, I was pretty screwed up. So I felt like, when I got my, back on my feet, and I was living a life that I was fulfilling and fun. I was like, and I got a platform, with the stuff I do. I was like, I got I want to share it. And there's a lot of other people out there who want to share it too. So it's cool, just to have some guests on and talk to them about what it's like on the other side. Because it can suck when you're in the middle of it, but it's really good on the other side.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So Pete's not drinking a White Claw.
No, I'm drinking a fountain soda from 7-Eleven.
A fountain soda.
Love it. Uh-huh.
Is it Dr. Pepper?
A little bit of Dr. Pepper, a little bit of Coke Zero. Yeah.
It's a suicide. Do you remember when you mix a bunch of drinks, people would call them suicide?
No.
Or a rainbow?
I don't know, April. I
know
that's what my brothers used to call it. You put a whole bunch.
Did they
call it suicide.
A bunch of alcohol in there as well? Because
And then they used to call it at school, and then the teachers would have to say, "Let's just call it a rainbow," because you can't say that.
About suicide.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's enjoying his Coke Zero and Dr. Pepper, and we're honoring Hunter Biden again with his White Claw.
Speaking of sober,
speaking of sobriety,
far from it.
My buddy and I were talking about some of those Hunter Biden videos that I saw this week.
Well, April doesn't know anything about anything that's recent. She knows she's FBI.
Crime stuff.
Yeah, she's FBI.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like to dig into the pop culture stuff or the news.
Real news, yeah.
But it's just because it's so crazy. It's it's just being ignored. It's no big deal,
So when that video came with him drinking the White Claw in the bathtub and smoking the crack pipe.
At the sober house.
At the sober house.
The recovery center.
I didn't know that's what it was.
Yeah. It was at a recovery center.
Yeah, see, I got to do a little more digging.
And
this is right in my wheelhouse.
It was this green, tub. It was
it looks like a happy endings room.
Yeah.
Like the room you go to get the happy ending after your massage. I think that's it. It's probably where he was. Mm-hmm. Okay, Pete. Caroline got a new purse. Did you put it on video for a reason? On purpose?
Yes.
It's front and center.
It's front and center.
Her mom, your stepmom, bought her that purse because it has upside down pineapples on there. If you hear the term or you see an upside down pineapple, does that mean anything to you?
No, I I knew somebody once who a pineapple meant that they were stressed out, so it was a code word.
Oh.
Pineapple, but upside down pineapple doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay. Well,
What am I missing?
Well,
you're missing a whole community.
it is a community.
A whole community.
Well, that's an upside down tree too, not just the pineapple.
Yeah, I mean that's a literal. That
wonder
is
what
a
that
community.
means.
I don't know, but that's all kinds of different upside down, sideways, straight up. I mean, it's upside down pineapple means you're part of a swinger group.
Oh no, really?
Yeah. And they say if you have red mulch in your yard, then that also is a sign. I don't know.
I just know about the keys in the bowl.
And
Yes, that is
That's
another sign.
that's
yeah,
the one
but if
thing
you
that I
carry
know.
this purse around,
putting side-
people are gonna be like,
Yeah.
a swinger.
So she's gonna go around town later on.
So I'm like, oh,
I would be interested to see what kind of reception you got.
You
no,
should
I always say I want to like do
record
an
it.
experiment, and I
You'd
want
have to go to a bar or restaurant and put it down on the bar.
Right
you know?
there.
Yeah, that's the move.
That's the move.
Yeah.
That's the
And it
move.
comes with like a little zipper thing inside of it. I was
Nice.
She was she was so giddy when she gave it to me.
It's a nice bag.
I mean, yeah, it is. I would take it places. I probably would.
You're about to.
You're about to. So what's your question for him?
Were you ever given porn as a child?
No, but I found it.
You found it. Okay.
Yeah, I was looking for it.
And
yeah.
then that's what led to the drinking and the
Well, it's all,
wild
it's all about
activities.
how you were raised. No, some
You
say
know,
that.
we've had a lot of serial killers and murderers who like were really into porn, or their parents gave them porn, or they were just like into all
honestly,
this
I feel
stuff.
like I escaped because I don't know how the kids are dealing with it today because it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
I had to look hard and work for it, and I'm sort of lazy. So I mean, when I found it, I found it. But
Yeah.
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 Well,
That's a good question. That's the one talk about. I've never been asked that in my life. Yeah.
How many tattoos do you have?
One.
One. What is it? Tell us the story.
Oh boy.
is it tramp stamp?
No, yeah, it's right
I
back here.
knew it
was.
In
Male
between my
tramp
shoulder blades. And honestly, it means inner strength. People ask me now what it means because it's like a Japanese symbol. They say, "What does it mean?" I say it
Orange
means
chicken.
mistake. I got it. When I was doing a lot of drinking and using drugs, and I got it in right out of college, and I thought it meant inner strength. And so I'm walking down the boardwalk one time in New Jersey with my girlfriend at the time, and this guy behind me is going like ghost. He's looking at my tattoo.
Ghost. Okay.
I'm like, no, it means inner strength. And he's like, no, man, that means ghost. Yeah. He was a Japanese man. And then I went to a gym where a guy was another Japanese guy, and he just liked to fuck with me because he was like, speed it. He would follow me around because he was like, do you know what it means? And I would say inner strength. He said, no, it means spirit. And I got the impression that culture, they get a real big kick out of
Yes.
people like me getting those symbols. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I got it, and the only right decision about it was I put it in a place where not many people can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I can't see it.
Yeah,
You forget it's there.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So when you were drinking, what was your drink of choice?
I liked Stella, but I liked anything. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, like what you were talking about. Like Long Island iced tea came to mind when you were talking about everything, like because you drink so many different drinks. Yeah, but I just loved to drink. So
Okay.
a cold beer was my favorite.
A cold beer. And then what was your drug of choice?
Speed, like I did a lot of cocaine and a lot of like Adderall and all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had to have a lot
So
of money
did
to do
OJ.
that.
Well,
And you were from up north.
I was from
right?
up north. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm from outside of Philadelphia. Yeah.
So you probably moved to Texas like, I'm not doing meth.
Yeah. No.
So let me get sober.
I got sober in Pennsylvania, so and then I started to move around a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I got here, I was clean.
Okay. It's probably a good thing.
Yeah, probably.
You don't want to sniff wasp spray.
Yeah, it's funny
Or
you talk
like
about
battery acid.
That's the big drug around here.
It is.
Yeah.
I have family in Michigan, and theirs is heroin. They don't even hear of meth up there. Theirs is heroin. Ours is meth. So,
There's a lot of meth here.
That's what I've
I mean, I
heard,
know
yeah.
there's fentanyl.
Fentanyl, I've heard, recently, and
But
that's scary.
Apparently, you pick up a dollar bill on the street and you're gonna go into like
that's
a coma.
as a drug addict. I'm very relieved. I feel like I'm blessed. That's another thing, like the digital porn, like with fentanyl. I miss that because a lot of guys now you hear are just going to do a line of cocaine and it's laced with fentanyl and they die.
That's what, yeah, that's like they just. And you can touch it, and you can.
I've heard crazy stories too. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're not married. Any kids?
No kids.
Anything? Pets?
Not married. No.
Engaged?
Not
just
engaged.
Asking for the people out there.
No, I've been close a couple times, but nothing ever yet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And you still like women?
I still like women, yeah. Hopefully they still like me.
Okay.
Yeah, exclusively, yeah. I have a girlfriend right now.
Okay.
She lives in Dallas. No, she lives in Niagara Falls. No, I'm joking. She lives in Dallas.
In Dallas?
Yeah, great woman.
And you've seen her, like she's a real person?
Real person. No, a real person. Sometimes she's definitely a real person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to I have to tell y'all that I feel like I saved a life today.
Yeah, yes.
I did, and I've only told Caroline a little bit of the story, but me and two friends were in Cameron Park going for our walk, and we see a little girl that from far away, she was dressed kind of like Little Bo Peep or like Dorothy from Wizard of Oz. Ran like just on her phone. And so we speak and she's a little bit of duress. Anyways, as you talk more, I don't want to say too much, but as you talk to her more, she was waiting on an Uber to come get her, that her friend that she fell in love with online was sending to come and pick her up.
Where was this in Cameron Park?
It was in the neighborhood.
Okay.
And
What's the name?
There's a neighborhood, yeah. There's a whole little beautiful neighborhood over there. Yeah. And so we said, so have you met them before? And she says, no, but they exist. I know, we've bonded. And they were literally coming to pick her up. And as we talk more, she's not a runaway because she was 23 years old, but she looked 14.
Oh, she did look 14.
Yeah. And she's very much isolated and not allowed to leave at home. So I thought maybe they were like Homestead.
Not allowed to leave the home. Yeah.
Like Homestead Heritage people, because that's what they kind of look like. First I was thinking, did she escape from the Methodist home because it's right there? And then she says, no, she lived right over there. Anyways, long story short, the police had to come and she's safe now. And her parents were not around at the time, but she showed me the profile and the person that she was speaking to and the picture of who she was speaking to. And it was literally a blacked out picture with just lips. And she didn't have the
wherewithal.
Yes. She was also on the spectrum, autism spectrum. So she didn't have that distrust, I guess. But this is what I told her before I found out she was on the spectrum. I was like, friend, I don't want to continue my walk and then I see you on the news. You think you're meeting your love. However,
you're going to be trafficked.
It's going to be an old redhead white man with a little bitty penis, and he's going to put heroin in your arm and like trade, like men are going to pay him to have sex with you. And she had no reaction. She looked straight through me, but I said too much. Like she can't even fathom that. But she's a beautiful girl, so sweet. She's safe now.
Wow. So you called the police and they came?
She actually wanted me to. I gave her like some options and she was like, can we call the police? Because she actually wanted to leave home. She didn't want to go back home, but she didn't have. So that was a highlight of my day.
Yeah, should be a highlight.
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm scared to say too much because the parents are here, and they probably don't believe in Spotify. But what if their coworkers do? And then they'll tell them, because I don't want the daughter to get in trouble. Even though she says nothing abusive happens at home, it's like the Stockdale family that we talked about last month. Basically, the mom is like that.
Well, good job, because honestly, I'm jogging through Cameron Park a lot, and I see stuff like that. I just keep it moving. I mean, and it's not because I really need like a cry for help. Like that's sometimes I have that, naive approach. Like, oh, she must be coming from a costume party. Really, it was like, something like that. Yeah.
Well, at first we were talking about how Cameron Park's haunted, and then we see this person there that doesn't look like she's in this century, and I was like, what if it's a ghost?
Yeah.
What if she's really not there? And then it kind of progressed. But if I was still a runner, I would not have stopped, because you don't want to mess with your time.
Yeah. Totally.
You're trying to get your PR, but I can't run anymore, so we were walking, so we had the time.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And then, she told me another story this week.
I don't know, but we have to talk about the 40th anniversary of the Lake Waco murders, which was yesterday for us, a week ago for when y'all hear this. And did any of y'all see the article that came out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tommy Witherspoon at our station, KWTX, did it.
Yes. And so now finally, and I guess it's always, Waco's, I think, always have been divided. It's coming out more and more that David Wayne Spence might have been executed for something he did not do. What do you think about? Do you know the story?
Yeah, I know the story. I mean, I've literally learned it. I learned it a little bit yesterday. I got a chance to really kind of dig into it. It sounds like so wide. Here's what it sounds like to me. It just sounds wide open. It didn't sound like there was a great enough reason to convict him or to have him executed. If there was, that wasn't in the article, and I don't put that on Tommy. He's he's got it all. So yeah, I think there's something missing there.
There's a lot missing.
Oh, there is. So what do you think is missing? What do you think is a big thing?
I mean, I wish we had DNA, but we don't have any. So I don't know that they can ever be ruled out, because we didn't really have evidence to convict. It was bite marks back then, which we don't even believe in now. Yeah. But there's not anything else really, besides like bad reputations and amazing investigator, may he rest in peace. That was Truman.
Simons, right?
Yeah. But so many things have come out since then that would raise a reasonable doubt. So I think if he's going to court today, David Wayne Spence would not have been
It seems so like blurry in a sense where like the guy mistook the girl for somebody else. Like that right there, I was like, that's crazy.
Yes. And the victim, Jill's family members, message us on our Bloody Happy Hour podcast, and she thanked us for telling the whole story. Most people just talk about the book, but not all the other stuff. They do not even believe in that, in the murder for hire and mistaken identity. And so the mom is probably about to pass away not knowing who actually killed her daughter. So that was interesting to me. If the actual victim's family doesn't believe it was David Wayne Spence and the Melendez brothers, then
I got to go back and listen to your podcast for that.
Part 1, Part 2, and we recorded the lawyer. We interviewed the lawyers, Russ Hunt and Walter Reeves. So go listen and then tell us what you think.
I will.
Because it's a lot.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Jen Shaw?
Who's that?
Jen Shaw from Housewives.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, Pete.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, she was, while on the show, on the Housewives show, do you watch Salt Lake City Housewives? No. Well, during the season, season
But I did
2,
meet a Mormon last week and I asked him a bunch of questions about porn.
Oh.
Yeah.
And?
But go ahead. They're not allowed.
Okay.
Obviously.
Well, so she was on the Sprinter van bus with all her other castmates, and she gets a phone call and she's like, "Oh, I have to get off the bus. My husband's in the hospital." So she gets off the bus and leaves, and then within minutes, all these police surround the bus. And then she goes to her house, and then they finally catch her and they take her to the station to question her. So she was being investigated for this telemarketing fraud scheme, big, huge scheme that she did, and there's several other people involved. So then they ended up indicting, is that the right word? And so she pled not guilty, and she had an assistant who was her main guy. He would feed her bananas. I mean, it was just this whole thing. They had each other's back, well, then he was also going to get indicted, and he was going to turn on her, and he was going to testify against her if this goes to trial. The trial was supposed to be next week.
And he's dead.
18th. No. So she is pleading not guilty. All the other people involved have at this point like pled guilty, and they're like, there's so much that's like going to be against her, and she's going to have no chance. So literally like 2 days ago, she sneaks into the courthouse and she pleads guilty. Oh. And what it is I have it exactly. It is a Shaw and others carried out wide-ranging telemarketing scheme that would defraud hundreds of victims of people who are the age of 55 and older. So they would sell business services to these people, and they would say that you can have this online business. And what she would do was she would help get leads, and then the leads would then call the people. And they would be the ones to make the fraudulent calls. So they would go up and people, and they'd be like, hey, if you pay $15,000 to set up this business plan, like, we'll build you this online store and you'll start generating all this revenue. Like, what? And the people are like, okay. And then like time goes by and they're like, okay, I paid you this money, but like, I'm like not generating any, like nothing's happening. And then they're like, oh, just pay us a little bit more. And we'll get you this elite marketing team.
Oh my goodness.
And some coaching, and we'll redo your website and all this stuff. And the
She was
person,
out there like the face of it, right?
I think
I'm guessing just because she's fabulous.
The victims are like, oh, I can't pay any more money. Like I don't have any more money. And then they're like, oh, it's okay. We can help you do debt settlement, and we can,
more services.
Yeah, more services. And they're like, I literally am out of money at this point. And they're like, well, great. Well, let's set you up for some debt consolidation. I mean, and they're just like taking all these money. So it's like this high pressured sales tactics that like are trapping these people. And now they have no money and they're too ashamed and embarrassed to go to like their families. Cause it's like, they've lost their money. They can't go to their families. It's almost like they think they're going to get yelled at. Like if you're an older parent and you're like, I don't want to just put my kids, like, oh my gosh, it's almost like when a kid doesn't want to tell their parents something because they're going to get yelled at. Yeah. And it's just crazy because you like her on the show. I mean, she's a likable person, I feel like, even though she's like fully on like.
She's hot. She's hot. There's certain times you'll see her. She doesn't look like the same person. Typical.
Yeah, I mean, she seems like she's like funny. I mean, she's very dramatic, obviously, but
that's low.
Yes,
it's low. It's just as bad as preying on kids.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and and the people, they're just like they fall into this trap, and they're like, I put all this money in, and if I put a little bit more in, I don't have to tell my family. I put a little bit more in, like I can fix it. It's just like the shame of being an addict, and you have to come out and tell people like, okay, this is what I'm actually doing.
That'll keep you drinking for a long time. Yeah, because the shame of coming out there.
Somebody steals your money, starts pawning your jewelry, or like steals a credit card that you have and starts using your credit card that you don't know about, and they're spending all this money, and then now you have all this debt, and then you buy this new Jeep, and then now you have to pay off the Jeep, and then you're like, oh shit, I married this guy. Oh. So the goal is that this happens to so many people. Yes. So don't feel shame. Don't be embarrassed.
You're not the only one.
And don't yell at show compassion if you're going to be the because like whenever I got out of my situation, I didn't know how people were going to react, but it was very like I was like, I'm going to get yelled at. I did not get yelled at. Nobody yelled at me. Yeah. Like y'all probably yelled amongst yourselves, but nobody like I told you so. I told you like because that's the worst.
Those are real friends. And that's crazy because that keeps you sick for a long time. The judgment and the possible judgment.
Yeah. I mean, like, I remember y'all would be like, oh my gosh.
Let's have a sleepover.
Okay. I'm glad you're okay. Let's hang out. Let's go. Let's do something. Let's get you away from this guy.
I probably did say I told you it was Ted Bundy, but that was it.
Yeah, but there was no, just really remember not having any because I knew, I was like, I know y'all told me. I know you told me. But now I know. Now I know, and please don't give me shit for it because
Yeah.
I already feel like the lowest of the low,
Yeah.
like shit. So
Yeah, I didn't know
And
I was
how
such a good friend.
Well, and by the
Wow.
way, this is how freeing is it when you finally come clean and you're like, oh, you get that monster
Yeah.
out in the middle of the room, you start getting help, and you start moving towards
and
the solution.
Well, you have to realize it's not your fault, even though it's
Oh.
hard to, because
Yeah.
it's like with this, like with these people, old people getting taken advantage of. It's like it's not your fault. They have these high pressure sales tactics, and they are
Good
like,
at their job.
They're good at their job. That's like with these con men and these people who are trying to talk, and they just are persuasive, and us.
It's easy to say yeah.
Yeah, us people over here who are just like,
You know what the
you're
hardest thing
not
is? Just the
bad.
last thing to say. It's hard to say, I got to get the hell out of this.
Yeah.
Some people
Yeah.
go their whole lives in a situation that's totally fucked up because they can't find that gear to be like, oh shit, guys, I need help. Like, I need you to help me get out of this.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. Yep.
Wow.
So thank you for coming to my TED Talk part 2.
Yes, part 2. I'm excited for the story today. You should tell them.
Y'all. OrenthalJames Simpson. We're going to OJ's house. We're going to talk about some OJ. I know we've been teasing it. And, Pete is apparently quite the expert on OJ.
I am. I don't know if expert's the word. I think maybe. And I finally got you two motherfuckers to talk to about OJ. Do you know nobody wants to talk to? I've had like women I've dated where I've been like, you got to watch this OJ doc. They're like, what? One girl I showed it to her. She was like, what am I watching?
Oh yeah, I broke up with her.
I know. It's so difficult because if I go on a date, I'm like, I can't talk about the podcast. I can't just talk about murder the whole
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, what am I supposed to talk about? Like
Yes.
politics? Blech.
Totally,
Yeah.
Finance? Blech. Like, I don't know what else to talk about.
Well, let's talk about some OJ because I don't know a lot. I was real young.
Yeah, that's
I'm
funny. By the
excited.
looks of this, I am older than you guys, a little older. So it was more, I never saw him play. I'm not that old. But so I grew up with OJ, the celebrity. Like in the mid to
Right.
late 80s, like you knew this guy. He was a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Can I give a little intro about him now?
Please.
Yeah.
So,
How old were you whenever it all happened?
Okay, so I was in-
I was 94.
yeah.
So
I was
like,
going into my senior year in high school.
Okay. So yeah.
How about you, April? Where
I
were
don't
you
know
at?
what I was in 94.
How old were you? When were you born?
I was born in 81.
You were 13.
I was 13 years old.
Okay.
I don't know what grade that is.
Well, I don't know. You're probably going into.
I wasn't watching porn at that age.
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you?
I think I was 7.
Okay.
Or 8.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is why. So I want you to think about it like this. Everybody knows who Charles Barkley is,
Yeah.
Right.
right? And imagine if Charles Barkley was like a moderately successful actor too. And then all of a sudden, his wife came up dead and he is missing and he's on the run and his wife, he killed his wife and another woman.
It's like The Rock. It would be The Rock. For right now, it'd be The Rock.
The Rock.
Because if you were a wrestling fan,
Yeah.
which I was, he was a Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
and then now he's a decent
Yeah.
actor. And then what if his wife's dead
Oh yeah, his wife and another person.
and another person?
And it was so inconceivable. I remember coming home. I was with my buddies probably. It was June of so I was going into my senior year in high school. And Peter Jennings, it was on ABC World News. They were like, OJ's wife is dead. OJ is like, they just showed him on the screen. It was, for me, it was inconceivable that this guy had done it. It was just like, oh, that sucks for OJ. His ex-wife, it was his ex-wife at the time.
Right,
His ex-wife
right.
is dead. But it was, the guy ran for 2,000 yards. Was the first running back ever to do that. He won the Heisman Trophy. He was a Hall of Famer. The Bills sucked, so he never got to experience his full potential. But it was also a point in time when he walked away from football because his skills were somewhat eroding, but there was so much more out there for him. I mean, he literally went from football right into being like in big time movies.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a serious actor, and he could never get that. So he was actually even smart enough and funny enough to be in the Naked Gun
The
movies.
Naked Gun.
Which was like that he had a shitload of success with that. So he was a studio analyst for NBC. the NFL and NBC, and then he would travel to games as when the last Super Bowl OJ worked was the Cowboys, and they were ironically playing the Bills, and he was the sideline reporter for the Super Bowl. Like, so he was that big. Like he was, he's the third man. He was on Monday Night Football for a while. He sucked, so they took him off.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, so I mean, this is a guy who it was inconceivable that he could, and these were brutal murders.
I do remember the chase.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really know who. I knew he was a football player.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it, but I was never watching the trial because I was like 8 or 9 or something. But did you know that his father was a drag queen?
Yeah, his father was
and gay.
That is some great digging.
Which one's? Who is his father? The black one or the black or white?
Yeah, they're both black. His mom,
OJ had black parents.
Eunice and Jimmy Lee Simpson, and he was there in San Francisco. The father was a well-known drag queen.
Closeted homosexual though, kind of, but he was a drag queen. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like later announced that he was gay and he died of AIDS.
Oh.
Well, his parents, they were still together. They separated, and he was raised by his mom, and they lived in the projects. And he had like a couple of siblings. He was in some gang for a little bit. He was in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
But then he met Willie Mays at one point, and he said
the baseball player,
and they said that that's who encouraged him to like get out of trouble and like maybe focus on sports.
Yeah, it kind of changed his life. Yeah. All right, so I wanted to touch on a point that this is being brought up here. Some of the people think that's how OJ was so. Because back in this day and age, being a homosexual was not.
Oh, he was super embarrassed about it.
And being a homosexual in black culture was just not.
Oh, yeah. Still not.
There were two things that he was very beneath the surface, was furious about. People said it's possible.
Yeah.
And he never expressed this.
Hey,
Yeah.
Pete, I'm just going to tell you this. If you get in trouble, just look straight into the camera and blink a couple of times.
Yeah, for people that don't know, Mike has too many people.
His dress code is
here.
pineapple. He already told us earlier.
Yeah.
You guys good?
Yeah,
Yep.
man. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Just go jump in front of the next train.
And so wasn't he for the NFL, he was like the first draft pick for the Buffalo Bills?
I don't know I think he was the number 1 draft pick. Yeah, but he was supposed to
And he
change
played
the
for
Bills.
USC.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
That's what I wondered what college he went to.
So he played for USC, and then at what point was he named the Juice?
I think he was OJ Simpson. He was the Juice in college.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of people refer to him as Juice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So what did he have I read that he had the largest contract in professional sports history.
At the time.
At the time.
At the time.
Yeah.
And that gives you an idea.
Which is probably nothing now.
It was like
Nothing now.
$650,000 over 5
What?
years.
Yeah.
And but then there was apparently this standoff. Like he was trying to negotiate to get to that level, and they were not wanting to do it. And then that's when he was like, "Oh, I'm just going to go start doing some acting." So that's when he started doing some acting. And then,
exactly.
Yeah.
In 73, I think, is when he ran for over 2,000 yards.
Yeah, I think
And he got more money.
Yeah, and so he started to make more money. But yeah, that's exactly. I didn't even think of that when we were talking earlier. It was one of those things where nowadays a player would keep working because there's astronomical money in it. But back then, it's like, okay, I can go act and make the same money and not bang myself up.
So was he in any Hall of Fames?
Yeah, he went to the NFL Hall of Fame.
Is he still in any Hall of Fames?
I don't know. I think he was. That's a great question.
I know.
I think he's in. I know he was inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. He was found not guilty. So, which is he was found not guilty. Look, April's giving me the side eye. He was found not guilty.
Yeah,
So.
but you with Chris Benoit, remember the wrestler that killed his?
Yeah.
They inducted him, and then they pulled it back, and they actually they took him off of everything WWE. So I
That was
wouldn't
just the
be
15-year anniversary.
surprised of that,
wow.
Chris
Yeah.
Benoit.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that in 1975, People magazine talked about how he was the first Black athlete to become a lovable media superstar.
Oh,
And
was
it
he
was
the first Black Heisman? Winner?
No, I don't think so. But he was.
Well, he had like, as far as like acting and stuff, because there was a bunch of like civil rights stuff was happening, and it was a big deal because he got this like Hertz sponsorship. Yeah. So they were like, well, like we don't really have a black person who's in commercials who people are wanting to see, and people didn't necessarily see him as black.
And he wanted it
and
that
why
way.
people
And that's
loved
how he
OJ.
wanted it. Yeah. And people would ask him, how do you feel about this, or this? And he was like, oh, I'm just OJ.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not black. I'm OJ.
Yeah, I'm OJ.
And so
Which pissed some of the civil rights people off back then, like Dr. Harry Edwards, all these guys who were kind of at the forefront of that movement. OJ was kind of like, I'm good. Like, I got to keep my brand strong.
Yeah.
In the Hertz commercial, he's jumping over suitcases.
Go, OJ, go!
And go, this old white woman is saying, go, OJ, go.
yeah.
And that kind of gave you the idea of like his marriage with society. You know, how lovable he was.
Yep. So he had this huge thing with the Hertz rental car company. So he was very lovable. He was charismatic. He had these endorsement deals, and
Wouldn't you guys say he was a good-looking dude as well?
Oh, yeah.
He still is.
yeah.
People were naming their kids after him.
Well, let's go to he met Marguerite Whitley. Was it in high school or college? Well, he met her and they knew each other from a long time. That was his first wife. And I guess when he was 1967, they got married and they had 3 kids.
Is she white too?
She's black.
She's black. Okay.
So this is before I think he decided he wanted to be.
Okay.
OJ.
So he had to divorce her real quick when he figured out I didn't want to be black.
He had the wife at home.
Yeah.
He was over here cheating on her left and right, cocaine, all this stuff. So they have 3 kids. They have Arnell, Jason, and Aaron. Now, did you know that their 3rd kid, Aaron, actually drowned in the swimming pool?
Yes.
So he lost a child.
Oh no!
Like
that's traumatic.
2 years old or something.
Apparently their marriage never recovered, and he kind of blamed Marguerite because I guess she was
at home.
Yes, right. Yeah.
So let's keep the trauma tally mark. So you got a gay drag queen, LGBTQIAPK dad when before any of that was accepted.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then now you lost a
child.
kid.
Yes. So then he meets Nicole Brown in 1977. So he's still married. She was 18. She's working as a waitress at a Beverly Hills club, this place called the Daisy. And, they just he met her and then he left and came back again, had dinner there again and saw her again. And then they started hanging out and they started, whatever. He was still married, but he eventually filed for divorce. And this was like just a few months after they lost that. Yeah. So it was in March 1979, he filed for divorce. And then he went to marry Nicole, not until 1985. So they dated for a while.
Okay.
And then they went on to have 2 kids, Sydney, who was born in 85, and then Justin, born in 88. And according to this advocate for victims of domestic abuse, she said that Simpson and Brown, that their marriage was textbook example of domestic abuse. I mean, the roller coaster that they go through, it's like they were just both feeding off of each other. It was
they were toxic for each other.
100%. So Nicole signed a prenup, and I've only saw this one place, but she said she was prohibited for working while she was married to him.
Control.
I've never heard of that. Yeah.
Very controlling. I had a situation once where I was dating a girl and I was like just kind of out there with her, and I was talking with my buddies a lot about it. He goes, dude, who do you think you are? And my buddy was like, you think you're OJ? And that was his way of saying like, stop being so goddamn controlling. But he was so controlling. I mean, it was either she was going to be with OJ or she wasn't going to be with anyone else.
Yeah.
One of her best friends I was watching this clip, Faye Resnick was like, if she talked to so much as the gas station attendant, OJ would make up his mind that she was having an affair with him. Like that was the kind of
It's almost
relationship
like
we're
because
talking about.
you know that's what he's doing.
Ooh,
he's
Yeah.
cheating, and so then he's thinking that's automatically like that's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Protecting.
they both were actually sleeping with other people while they were
Yeah.
together, because they were together for it was a span of over 15 years that they were together. So throughout their marriage, there was 62 incidents of domestic violence.
Wow.
Several previously were unknown to like the authorities, but they had found that
62 on record?
well, I think that she,
Okay.
yeah. Well, and then they found these like letters that she had written, and they were in like a safety deposit box. And it said she was conflicted to report them to the police because she was so financially dependent on him. She didn't want to lose all the stuff that she had. And then the police OJ had created such a environment with the police that
Yes.
they would like stop by his house and they would like
gosh.
come have a cup of coffee. They would party with him.
He's like
and
textbook.
they were just never interested in arresting him for abusing her. And like it was there that she had called the cops several times to come over for I think 8 times total.
By the way, this is great. I'm loving
Yeah,
this.
and
You guys are good at this. This is great. Yeah.
Well, I gotta,
All right, so he
I
calls
gotta-
the cops 8
yeah.
times. This is great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like literally a story. And she had so she calls the cops several times. There's probably 8 different incidents, and it's not until the last one that they did arrest him. But a couple of these notes that they found that she wrote, they said one of them said that she had told he broke her arm during a fight, and she told the emergency room staff that she had fallen off a bike, whatever. He would beat her in public, during sex, even in front of family and friends. And the final one where this is where we're going to listen to one of them. This is the one in 1989, and this is on New Year's Eve. And so they had been out, doing what you do on New Year's Eve, having a, partying it up, whatever. And they get to, she calls the cops, and I'll tell you what all led up to it after I play this.
911 emergency.
Can you get someone over here now to 325 Gretna Green? He's back. Please.
Okay, what does he look like?
He's OJ Simpson. I think you know his record. Could you just send somebody over here?
Okay, what is he doing there?
He just drove up again.
He just drove
somebody
up.
over.
Okay, wait a minute. What kind of car is he in?
He's in a white Bronco, but first of all, he broke the back door down to get in.
Okay, wait a minute. What's your name?
Nicole Simpson.
Okay, is he the sportscaster or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Wait a minute. We're sending the police. What is he doing? Is he threatening you?
I'm going nuts.
Okay, has he threatened you in any way, or is he just harassing you?
You're going to hear him in a minute. He's about to come in again.
Okay, just stay on the line.
I don't want to stay on the line. He's going to beat the shit out of
Wait a minute.
me.
Wait, just stay on the line so we can know what's going on until the police get there, okay? Okay, Nicole?
Uh-huh.
Just a moment. Does he have any weapons?
I don't know.
Okay.
He went home, now he's back. My
Okay.
kids are upstairs sleeping, and I don't want anything to happen.
Okay. Has he hit you today or no?
No.
Okay, you don't need any paramedics or anything? Okay. You just want him to
Closed my
leave.
door. He broke the whole back door in.
And then he left and he came back?
Then he came and he practically knocked my upstairs door down, but he pounded it, and then he screamed and hollered, and I tried to get him out of the bedroom because the kids were sleeping in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then he wanted somebody's phone number, and I gave him my phone book and put my phone book down to write down the phone number that he wanted, and then he took my phone book with all my stuff in it.
The dispatch.
What?
What does he say?
What else?
Units, your domestic violence at 30 Correction 325 South Gretna Green Way is too high. The suspect is now entered in the shelter. And it is refusing to leave. It's code too high. Incident 4221, already 825 children involved. Okay. Is he upset with something that you did?
Oh, a long time ago, it always comes back.
Wow.
He gets pissed and accuses her of cheating.
Okay, so this is what's happening. Police arrive and they find a bloody, terrified Nicole hiding in the bushes. So she ran out towards the house and she's like, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill me. He was, at that point, he was charged with
He was charged.
Finally.
Yes. So he gets charged with 1 count of spousal abuse and he's sentenced to 120 hours of community service. Or a year probation. I've seen both of the different things. But he later goes on to say that Nicole initiated the whole thing. It was her fault. And
Nicole.
Somehow, after the trial and after this was played, like everybody heard the 911 call. And somehow he came out of that night as the poster boy of an abuser. He has no idea why. So she says she's in Gretna Green Drive. So at this point, they are separated. Okay.
They're at what?
Gretna Green, that's where she lives.
Her
Okay.
address.
And he lives on Bundy.
Yes.
No, she lives on Bundy in Brentwood. He lives at Rock Place, Rockfield. I got it all.
Okay.
So it's January 1992. Nicole tells OJ that she wants a separation. She then moves out of the house with him and moves to Gretna Green Way.
Okay.
Gotcha.
That's where this call was from. It's a half a mile from Rockingham, which
Gotcha.
is their mansion
Yes,
where
yes, yes.
OJ
Okay.
lives.
Yeah.
So he's keeping her close.
Yeah.
OJ.
By the way, in that 911 call, you could hear what he was, if you could kind of hear what he was yelling about. So they were already separated or divorced, but she was having sex with this guy, Keith,
Okay.
who owned restaurants. She was dating him. And apparently at one time, OJ was kind of lurking or something.
Yeah, there's 2 different ones. One of them is she supposedly was having like a group sex party and they were doing drugs. And then another one is when he peeked in the window and
She's having sex with this guy, Keith.
and he like bangs on the door twice and leaves.
Yeah, and he's referencing a lot of that in that 911 call because he still can't, and that's why she says it goes ways back.
Yeah, it always
Yes.
goes back.
Yes.
Okay.
So she wants to be separated. OJ's shocked, but he continues to pursue her and he hopes they can reconcile. But Nicole started dating other guys and then she ended up filing for divorce 2 months later. So like late February 92.
He is losing his shit
Yes.
because she's seeing other men.
Yeah. And so Nicole said that OJ was like stalking her and harassing her and just like obviously like an intimidation tactic for an abuser. And this is when she talked about the time that he spied on her whenever she was having sex with that guy. Well, OJ says that he was coming home from a party and he was just wanting to stop by her house to see what she's doing. He says he was hoping maybe he could get some. Literally like that.
That's how he's.
Oh, well, yeah, I could get some. Like, look. Disgusting. He sees her with a boyfriend, bangs on the door twice, and then leaves. The next morning, he goes back to the house and confronts her while he's there. And she just is like, oh my gosh, like, okay, you staying here. Let me go talk to him in the other room. And it was just like this whole big thing. They were supposedly, according to OJ, supposed to be telling each other when they were seeing other people. Really. So, and he started dating this lady named Paula.
Yeah.
And so when Nicole would call him, she
was smoked, by the way. Paula Barbieri or whatever.
Yeah.
She was
hot.
Yeah, I mean, she was, yeah. It's like
So-
one of those things I was watching a documentary recently. I was like, wow.
Oh, well, then
Yeah.
so was Nicole. I mean, they all.
So was Nicole.
All
Stunning,
he
stunning.
wanted blonde white girls, and that's who he. That was his thing. That was
That
his
was
type.
his thing.
That's who he wanted. And
And she needed to find somebody just as rich as OJ so she could afford to not be with OJ.
Yeah. Well, so then Paula was getting pissed that like Nicole kept calling OJ and everything. And so she was like, look, you got to stop. Because she would just call him to talk about her boyfriend or I don't know.
That's
what he
there are
said.
theories, like
Yeah.
she's still, like we talk about, it's toxic.
Yes.
So it does, like, I think they were having sex every so often.
Right.
The two of them, like, so I mean, there was that still going on. It was real messy.
Yes. So it was like over those next few months, they were like kind of on again,
Back
off
and
again.
forth.
They were,
Like
right?
they'd
Is that what you're-
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
They would stay at his
Research
house. They'd
says,
stay at her
yeah.
house and all this stuff. And so
Just
then
feels messy, right?
Yeah.
the second one, the spying incident, that's October 25th, 1993. She called the police again. She says he's going nuts. He's going to beat the shit out of me. The police come. And she says he gets this very animalistic look in him. His veins pop out. His eyes are black. And he's just cold like an animal. And it was just very weird. And it scared her.
Scary, yeah.
And so this is what she tells the officers. And she said that OJ broke the door down to get into the house, that he had heard a rumor that Nicole was hosting group sex parties and they were doing drugs.
Oh,
Yeah.
was there a bowl on the table?
Well,
bowl of
which-
keys?
Tell us about the coke, Caroline,
probably
right?
like to have
there
been
was.
invited.
Yeah. Wait, what was that again?
I might have liked to be invited. I would have brought my pineapple purse. Like, I would have fit right in.
Yeah, you would have.
What about the coke? What were you going to say?
Well, no, I think a lot of this
yeah.
is fueled by drugs. I'm not saying that
on
they
both
were
sides? Was he on
both
drugs too?
sides. I think I'm not saying and I'm being like I'm so into this kind of shit. I've almost searched to see like were these people like 24-hour drug users? It doesn't seem like that. OJ maybe later on after
Yeah.
like all, but it seemed like they partied a lot. They did party a lot.
I listened to a podcast where Crime and Sports,
Yeah.
and they were referencing a book they read, and it was while he was still married to Marguerite, and saying like one of his former Bills players, like he'd go stay at their house, and like they would just have hookers come and coke, and they're like, oh, just keep the coke coming for them, because after I'm done with this one, I want the next one, and just like.
Yeah.
They couldn't hang out with him because he was
Which
partying
think
too
about
much.
it in
Yeah,
that time.
Yeah.
Coke was people were like, let's go. I mean, like, you know, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was like starting to become like glamorized.
Yes.
Well, then, and I'm thinking too, like CTE, we didn't know what it was back then. Could he have?
I know.
Does he have? But what position did he play?
He was a running back, and you're
and you get
absolutely
hit a
right.
lot- a lot?
You get hit a
Okay.
lot, and
Yeah.
hit a lot in the head. And those helmets back then were about like the leather.
Oh, they
of
had
that
like
bag.
one
Yeah.
little strap in the front. Like I have a picture of it, and it's
So we'll never know until he dies, and
Yeah,
we can do an autopsy.
that's a great point
And
to
it's
bring up
not an
again.
excuse because he could very well just be ignorant on his own.
Yeah.
But now,
But
when
that
it
doesn't
comes
help.
to any of those,
Chris
Benoit had it. You know,
Aaron Hernandez.
Aaron Hernandez had
Big
it.
time.
Now, when it comes to any of those, but then that goes back to us: is we don't want to think that our star people are that evil.
Yeah.
So let's give them an excuse. Is it CTE? Is it drugs? Is it
Yeah.
whatever? Sometimes they could just be evil like everybody else.
yeah. So over the next few months, they continued like they're on again, off again. Like they were going to movie premieres. They were going to football games. They were going on vacations with friends. And it was a few months. And then I don't know what it was that finally caused Nicole to be like, okay, this is unhealthy. I want to get out. OJ's got to stop. Like I'm done. So January 1994, she moves into a condo. And this is when she now is living on Bundy Drive.
Yeah, okay,
Bundy.
That's where the murders happened.
Listen.
Yes. In
No.
Brentwood.
Anything has to do with Bundy.
I know.
Do not engage.
I know. So she
We're not talking
even
about
like
that.
had
Yeah.
like returned a gift from like he was still trying to give her birthday gifts, and she was like, no.
That's the worst, by the way. You send an ex a gift, and like you get the Amazon thing, like it was sent back, or they wouldn't accept it, or like like.
Did you send
Are
an
you
ex a birthday
speaking
gift?
from experience?
Yeah, this happened a couple years ago. I sent a girl I was dating a T-shirt, and it like got sent back, and then a coffee from Starbucks, and the guy was like, "Hey, she wouldn't take it." So that was You gotta take your hints
Well-
though, OJ. Right? That's it. That's a wrap. It's over. Yeah.
That's unfortunate. I would accept any gifts you are willing to give
Thank
me.
you.
Let me quickly we know there's this guy who's involved in this story, very small involvement, Cato Kalin.
Okay.
Do you remember him?
No.
Oh my gosh, you literally don't know anything.
Nothing.
So, Brian Cato Kalin, like that's how you know him, Cato Kalin, the blonde guy, looks like a surfer guy. He was the world's famous house guest because he was living in the guest house of the Gretna Green property. Nicole actually paid him. I don't know if he's just like a close friend and he just ended up whatever, wanting to live at their, they knew he knew that they had a guest house. He was going to pay $500 a month rent to stay there, and then would watch the kids every now and then.
And it's Brentwood. It's like the nicest area in the world. Almost,
he got a deal.
Yeah.
So then
and he wants to be an actor, so it's a good thing.
Okay, so he was an actor. So then whenever Nicole moved out and she moved to Bundy, Cato was going to move with her and live in one of the downstairs bedrooms, but OJ didn't like that idea. And so he offered Cato to stay in one of the guest rooms at his Rockingham mansion, rent-free. And
just
Cato
to not stay with Nicole.
And therefore sealing his fate to be forever entwined in the famous murder case of OJ and Nicole. So...
Cato, not to jump forward, was him and OJ got McDonald's.
Yes,
on the night of the murder.
Yep.
It's like as close as OJ came to an alibi, but it still wasn't any good.
Oh, it's totally
Yeah.
I
So
wonder where Cato is now.
You
he's
can find
around,
him.
yeah. So let me see. Okay, in 2006, this is where. We're getting close to the night of the murders.
Okay.
2006, OJ does an interview with like an on-camera interview because he writes this book called If I Did It, right? So when did the book come out? Was that later?
No, it was like 2000. I can't tell you exactly.
Okay, probably around the same
He's
time.
like Rain Man of OJ.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Date.
Yeah. So 2006, he does this interview and he's talking all about. He appears to be confessing to these killings, but he insists that they're all memories and everything's hypothetical. Mm-hmm. And then the interview ended up getting shelved because it was too controversial and it was not going to be put on TV. And then it somehow reemerged in 2018. And now
now?
Yeah.
Literally.
What?
I never even knew about it
think they
until 5
released
minutes
it.
ago.
It was kind of like around the same time he was being let out on parole from his second, like the thing.
Vegas stuff. That's
so
right.
It was right around 2018, around the fall. I don't know what the exact meaning was, but yeah.
So he, this is his account of what happened. He felt if he could claim it was hypothetical at this point, that it would have deniability, like with his children, and. We've already talked about this. Who else was the person to hypothetically confess to all of his crimes?
Ted
Bundy. 100%. So I got a little bit of a longer clip, but this is literally from the interview, and it was too juicy to not play.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's about, what I say, 6 minutes?
Yeah.
So
it's coming right after the break.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Welcome to One Star Rewind, a new podcast about those dreaded one-star reviews that every business owner hates to receive, but yet every customer loves to read. During this podcast, we will peel back that one-star review to better understand how it happened, when it happened, and what the business owner is doing after receiving that one-star review. This podcast will be about love, hate, and laughter. On One Star Rewind, we will meet with real business owners who will tell their stories and how they do rely on reviews for their business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or download us at roguemedianetwork.com. Please subscribe, but only rate and review for not a one-star review. Join us each time for a new review and a new story.
Hi, this is Sarah.
And I'm Carter.
And this is Some of Our Thoughts.
We're two Southern sommeliers, and we want to share everything we love and know about wine. We started hanging out during quarantine and cooking and drinking and listening to music. And we just thought this would be a great way to bring everything we know to you guys.
We will make wine knowledge and food pairings easy and approachable. So put on your favorite vinyl, grab your favorite glass of wine, tune into our show, and let's have some fun. Wine and vinyl.
So check us out on roguemedianetwork.com or wherever you get your favorite podcast. We'll be talking about a lot.
911, what's your emergency?
Do you hear that? It's coming from the house.
It's coming from inside the house? Do you mean? Could it be?
The Poltergeist. New from Rogue Media. Two haunted hotties talking about haunted places. Every episode we dive deep into the darkest places and give you a bit of history.
We're getting spooky in all the right places.
You've gobbled your last ghoul.
Follow along for the craziest and spookiest stories with Debbie's Dark Tourism. The Stanley Hotel,
Winchester House,
the Alamo,
Hotel Monte Vista,
and more spooky places. Find us at _Poltergals. POLTERGALS.
Look over your shoulder. It's us,
the Poltergals. Wherever you consume the podcast, you can find us there.
Why don't you tell me what might have happened on the night of June 12th, 1994? And let's just walk through the night.
Well, first of all, this is very difficult for me to do this. It was very difficult for me because it's hypothetical. I know and I accept the fact that people are going to feel whatever way they're going to feel. They're going to, whatever they want to feel. In the book, the hypothetical is
Charlie pulls that up.
Charlie. This guy Charlie shows up, the guy who I had recently become friends with, and I don't know why he had been by Nicole's house, but it told me you wouldn't believe what's going on over there. And I remember thinking, well, whatever's going on over there has got to stop, right? So we kind of hooked up together, and I'm kind of broad stroking this. We go over. Get in the Bronco and go over.
Let's just go back and do the details. Where did you park?
Let's do the detail.
You park
in the hypothetical in the alley.
Right. You park in the alley.
Yeah.
And you put on a wool cap and gloves.
In the hypothetical, I put on a cap and gloves.
Right.
Yeah.
And you reached under the seat for?
A knife. I always kept a knife in the car for the crazies and stuff because you can't travel with a gun. And I remember Charlie saying, you ain't bringing that. And I didn't, right? But I believe he took it.
Charlie took the knife?
Yeah. In the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the back gate.
I'm so confused.
You go through the back gate.
Yes.
And it was open or broken or?
I don't recall.
Okay.
I go to the front and I'm
Charlie's like a make-believe guy.
Okay.
And I can see that it appears like Nicole had candles all the time. She really did to keep her overhead down, I think. And music was on, and while I was there, a guy shows up.
So Ron Goldman comes in the back gate.
Yeah, a guy that I really didn't recognize. I may have seen him around, but I really didn't recognize him to be anyone. And in the mood I was in, I started having words with him.
He says to you, I just came by to return a pair of glasses. Judy left them at the restaurant.
Yeah, words to that effect. Yes.
That's Nicole's mom, Judy.
Okay.
And
he was
I don't know if I believed it or didn't believe it. He was pretty much immaterial.
So he's done lost the hypothetical part.
I was more concerned about everything that was going on, and was fed up with it, I guess. And
you get into a fight. Nicole comes out.
A verbal
fight.
Got a little loud, and by that time, Nicole had come out, and we started having words. about who is this guy, why is he here, what's going on.
And she says, this is my house, get the F out of here.
Yes, and which I didn't like because, once again, this is the same person, and if you read the book, you'll see some things that happened in the 2 weeks leading up to this that were very, very irritating, you know. And I think Charlie had followed this guy in, wanted to make sure there was no problem, and he brought the knife. As things got heated, I just remember Nicole fell and hurt herself. And this guy kind of got into a karate thing. And I said, well, you think you can kick my ass? And I remember I grabbed a knife. I do remember that portion, taking a knife from Charlie. And to be honest, after that, I don't remember, except I'm standing there and there's all kind of stuff around and
what kind of stuff?
Blood and stuff around. You know, I hate to say this, but this is hypothetical. I know we got to back up again.
Right. That's okay. He's like,
oh, this is hard. This is hard.
I know. I want to back up
to... It's hard to try to make people think that I'm
I know. You wrote in the book, I had never seen so much blood in my life.
Yes.
You're covered, the scene. Can you describe it?
It's hard for me to describe it, I'm telling you. I don't think any two people could be murdered the way they were without everybody being covered in blood. And of course, I think we've all seen the grisly pictures after. So yeah, I think everything would have been covered in blood.
I'm a little speechless. He couldn't even keep the hypothetical part going.
No.
Then I was confused about Charlie. I guess Charlie was...
It's almost like that's
in the
his
book,
alter
the guy's
ego.
name is Charlie.
Well, Charlie is just a guy that OJ has, like, if he did it, Charlie is somebody that would have been there with him or hypothetically was there with him.
Because he said I grabbed the knife from Charlie.
And some people have said that Charlie is OJ, another part of his personality.
Right, like his alter, like
yeah.
Oh, Charlie did it. Like that was my dark side.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
I need all the black people to listen to this because black people still like to say OJ didn't do it.
Literally, it just admitted it. Literally. So, let me tell you what's going on here. If you don't know, on the evening of June 12th, 1994, Nicole and OJ attend their daughter's dance recital, and now he was out of town, so he had flown in, or he was probably hanging out with Paula somewhere. He had flown in, and they were gonna. Nicole's family was going to go to dinner at Mezzaluna, this restaurant where she had previously dated the owner of that restaurant. That's who OJ spied
Keith
on them, and it was Nicole and Keith. That's who he watched have sex. And so OJ asked to come along, but Nicole says, no, you cannot come along. So that doesn't make him happy. One of the waiters at the restaurant is Ron Goldman. So this is where this guy comes up.
Shit. I'm trying to do the noise and it spewed everywhere.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah. So Ron Goldman is there. He's a waiter. He is... they had become friends in the past weeks, and Nicole and the kids they leave the restaurant, they go home, back to the Bundy Drive, and Nicole's mom had left her glasses at the restaurant, and then Ron was like, oh, I'll bring them to her house whenever I get off. So he gets off at like 9:50, and meanwhile, OJ and Kaylin, they're going to McDonald's to go get some dinner.
What? Oh, McDonald's is always part of it.
Now, rumors circulated that OJ had been on drugs at the time of the murder, and then I did hear that it was reported that they actually went to Burger King because that's where a drug dealer known as JR had been selling them crystal meth. Now, I don't know. I've only heard that one
place.
You got
too much money to do crystal meth.
Listen, I don't know. I just really think he went to McDonald's and maybe had some cocaine there or something. I don't know. But he was with Kaylin at that point. So...
And Kaylin's corroborated this.
Yeah, but yeah. Okay. So... Nicole's neighbors end up testifying that they hear her dog barking. So this dog barking is like basically how they're found. So the dog's barking. It's like 10:15. Dog starts barking. A dog walker like walks by and comes across the dog and notices that it's bloody legs, bloody like belly on the dog, and it's like, oh my gosh, where did the dog come from? Like, what's happening? And then the dog like follows the man home, and the man's like, I don't know what to do with the dog. And then anyways, some other neighbors finally go and know where the dog lives, and they go up, and that's whenever they see Nicole and Ron's bodies.
I mean, Nicole's basically decapitated.
Tell me,
just wait for the details, because
Yeah.
they are about to come, and you better take a shot because it's very, very gruesome. So the bodies are laying outside of the house. Police are called immediately to the scene, and this is what they find. The front door to Nicole's condo was open. The bodies were found. There were no signs that anyone had entered through breaking in, so there's no sign of forced entry. Her body was laying face down, almost in like a fetal position. She's barefoot at the bottom of the stairs leading to the door. So there's a walkway leading to the stairs, and that was covered in blood. The soles of her feet were clean. So based on this evidence, investigators concluded that she was the first person to be killed and was the intended target. She had been stabbed multiple times in the head and the neck, and there were few defensive wounds on her hands, implying that it was a short struggle, or she was knocked out, which she was. The final wound inflicted ran deep into her neck, severing her carotid artery. This is the worst. A large bruise in the center of her upper back with a corresponding footprint on her clothing indicated to investigators that after killing Goldman, the assailant, the killer, OJ, returned to Nicole's body, stood on her back, pulled her head back by her hair, and slit her throat.
Like finished her off.
Slit her throat. She was her larynx could be seen through the wound. I showed you the picture. Could be seen, and her vertebrae C3 was incised, and Nicole's head was barely remaining attached to her body.
This is your C3 right here in the back, your cervical vertebrae. So it went all the way. Oh my God.
Ron Goldman's body laid next, like nearby, close to a tree and a fence, and he had been stabbed multiple times in the body and the neck, but there were few defensive wounds on his hand. There were some, but I guess it showed that there was a struggle. Evidence that the coroner had found was that he had been stabbed with one hand, or OJ or the whatever assailant had him in a chokehold and then used his other hand to start stabbing him. And near his body was a blue knit cap, a left hand extra large Arius isotoner leather glove, and an envelope containing the glasses that he was returning. So detectives determined that Ron had come over to Nicole's house during her killing, and that the OJ saw that he was there but wanted him to make sure he was silenced and there was no witnesses, and so that's why he killed him. And there was a trail of bloody shoe prints that ran through the back gate, but there was also some drops of blood from the killer. And apparently whoever was bleeding from the left hand, and they measured the distance between the prints that they found, and they concluded that he was walking, not running, which I guess, I don't know.
The assailant, OJ. Okay.
So he just kind of like calmly walked away from the scene, which is kind of creepy. So let me circle back to OJ's hypothetical. So he had said that Nicole fell I don't know if what he said. Nicole fell
in that interview.
Yeah, in that interview, that that's how she ended up on the ground. Well, she was hit in the head with the handle of the knife, according to the coroner. So he like hit her with the butt of the knife, knocked her out, and then stabbed her 4 times in the neck. She lays on the ground. Ron Goldman arrives, runs towards her. He's grabbed by OJ, who jabs him in the face 5 times with the knife, slit his throat. He gets loose. Ron gets loose. And but this whole walkway is gated. So there's like a perimeter of a gate.
Yeah, this one
so
investigator
he can't get out.
Or prosecutor described it as like a killing cage. Like once he got,
because it was like
once he was backed into a corner with this gigantic football player, and he's just like he's got nowhere to go. Because Ron Goldman was like a pretty in shape, like athletic guy. So
yeah. Wow. So he's like stuck, and he basically is like, I'm trapped, and then he's grabbed by him.
And brought back in?
No, he doesn't go out. He can't get outside of the fence. So he's basically like tries to run off and there's nowhere to go. He's blocked. And then OJ is able to catch him again, plunges the knife at him and stabs him in the side and severs his abdominal artery. And then he does have those defensive wounds on his hands so that he was trying to protect himself.
You get that artery, you have a minute till you're dead because of the bleeding.
So was Ron in the outside in that little fence area, or was he in the house when he was found?
No, they were both
found outside.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so basically what they determined was that the killer, OJ, alternated between victims. And after horrifically slitting and almost decapitating Nicole, he went back to Ron, who was probably already dead, and stabbed him a few more times. So he's like overkill on both. I mean, just like there's no...
And then walks off calmly.
Yeah. Yep. So later that night...
I did. Okay, remember his story of Charlie? He did say that he broke in the back door, right? But then the people said there was no sign of forced entry.
I don't know, because I think she came out of the house. And you gotta... It's confusing, the setup, because it's like there's a door and then you open the door, the back door, and then it's like this walkway, and it's like a tall iron gated whole walkway. And it's like you gotta just kind of watch the video. It's kind of hard to explain, but and then you could probably you kind of can't see it from the street, I think. Like, so it's like and there was a really big tree. So it's like, you're just brazen enough to murder them, like out there in the wide open, but it really wasn't that wide open. Cause I didn't remember where. I was like, did they kill him inside? Like,
I thought they were outside.
Yeah, no, they were.
And apparently this is like it's not like the premeditation is like, it doesn't seem like there was much to it. Like Marsha Clark, the woman who one of the prosecutors said, like he had called the woman Paula. She didn't answer. He had been blown off and not invited to the dinner after the recital. He said he was bullshit about that. And he just kind of lost it. And so like it was like literally a passion killing or a rage killing, right? Because it's not like very well, like you said, like it's 10:15. And he's just like stabbing people and like right out in the middle of the street almost, in a beautiful neighborhood.
So OJ is later that night. He has a flight that's scheduled 11:45 to Chicago because he's going to do this Hertz golf tournament.
Yeah.
So he got somewhere to be. How could he? I mean, I don't think he planned. I mean, I don't think
that's what he just said. Like it's premeditated, rage killing.
Yeah. I think it just
pissed.
Yes.
Probably on drug rage.
Yes. I for sure think that. So, like, he needs to get home, and he has a limo that's coming to pick him up at the house,
at his house.
So he has to go, take him to the airport and all this stuff. So he, what does he have? Maybe some blood?
A little bit.
What's he going to do with the bloody clothes?
What does he do?
How does he get away with all this? He's got to be full of blood. Takes off his shoes, takes off his bloody clothes. He just kind of like bundles them up. And
they never find the clothes, right?
No, but there's I have an interesting.
But is there not blood in the Bronco?
There is.
There is. So
But he took off his clothes before he got in there.
Smart.
So, and he had the gloves on. He already had one that was dropped at the scene. And
Not
then,
smart.
so he takes his shoes off. He takes his, I guess, t-shirt or whatever he's wearing and pants off, and then the gloves. So, I guess then it's already they said it's in a bundle. I don't know if that's a bag. A bundle bag? Whatever. Bundle bag. So they're in a bundle bag. So he's like, okay, you guys has to get rid of them. Well, then, Charlie is in a panic.
Charlie.
And Charlie is
Charlie.
like, Jesus Christ, OJ, Jesus Christ, OJ. And he's like, shut up, Charlie. They had a conversation.
Having a war with himself.
So he takes all this stuff off. He gets in the Bronco. He drives back. He parks a block away. This is from the interview too. This is what he says. He parks a block away because he knew the limo was going to be there. And then he went across the backyard in through the neighbor's tennis court. I mean, this whole, these guys, too much. They give too much. He goes in the house. He grabs his bags. He puts them out front for the limo guy to put in the car. There's this whole thing about the limo and where he got there early and OJ was not there.
The limo driver was nervous.
And the Bronco was not there when the limo arrived.
Yeah.
And they were like, so this is the time frame where he was unaccounted for.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and when we go through the trial stuff, we could.
He has he's got no alibi.
I mean, it's completely, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So he has the bags that are outside and he goes upstairs and takes a shower because obviously he's got murder on him. So he gets dressed, he gets in the limo, heads to the airport, and then according to the limo driver, OJ had 4 bags. One of them being a knapsack that he would not let the guy touch. And he's insisting, I'll load it myself. I don't know what a knapsack is. Like a little tiny little bag. That's where all this murder stuff was.
Wow.
So at the airport, when he's checking his bags, he only checks 3 bags. Where's that 1/4 bag? It's missing. A witness claimed that he saw Simpson at the airport discard the items from a bag into the trash can. So later on, they would say they believe this is where the murder weapon, the shoes, and the clothes that he wore that night were disposed.
Allegedly.
They never found a murder weapon.
I mean, because if you're at an airport trash can, it's kind of smart.
Yeah. And this is 1994. We're not talking about cameras.
There's not cameras everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So OJ's in Chicago. Gets on the airplane and just falls right asleep. He was just exhausted.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a workout, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he gets awake. He's woken up from a phone call, LAPD. And they tell him, I don't know if they told me she was, how was she murdered? Oh, I mean, is she dead? Or what? I mean, she's dead? How they
Charlie,
do.
did you know that?
Yeah, Charlie. What? Charlie, you know? Okay, what? Oh, this whole thing. So they call, say Nicole's dead, and they ask him, where are you and when can you get back? And he flies back the next day. But once he is back, they notice that he has a cut on his left hand. His one cut.
Not the left hand.
I was
not the hand with no glove.
And so OJ said, well, while he was in his hotel room, he went into the bathroom and he just remember slamming this
after
glass down.
Right?
Yeah. After he found out, he got the call. He goes in the bathroom and he just slams this glass down on the counter and it just smashed and somehow he probably cut his finger.
Believable. I mean, it could be a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a terrible story. And then he goes and gets a Band-Aid from downstairs. Whatever. I don't know. Yeah. So they obviously were clearly the cut probably came from one of his victims, And the officers also told him, because this is what he's back now, and they were like, well, we found blood on the inside of your car. And then at this point, it's when OJ said, oh, you know what? Actually, I don't remember how I cut my finger. But there were several stories. Yeah. He told several different stories. It was probably
so much blood that the knife slipped out of his hand. It slips.
I think it must have cut through the glove, I guess.
There was a struggle with him and Ron Goldman, they say, and that's possibly where that cut happened.
And I'm like, how do you not have more than one cut?
Yeah.
thought he would have.
I by the way, that's one thing in his defense. I thought the same exact thing. I'm like, wouldn't this guy have more cuts? But I guess
if he had the gloves on.
Yeah. And if he had the knife, I guess. But yeah, I would have thought he would have been. I guess he lucked out, not being like hit in the face.
The glove had come off in the struggle, and then Ron like somehow.
Yeah.
No, I don't even think it was a defense or whatever. I think there was so much blood when he was stabbing. It happened on another story that it slips, the handle slips, and then their hand gets to the blade. So like it slips, and
but
so
it
they
was like a cut like right here. Look on his knuckle. Look at, I think that's what the picture showed. I don't know. I'll show you the picture.
Yeah, because the picture, he's like taking the picture like this or something. Because this is when he got questioned by police.
Yeah.
Like the next day.
So June 14th. So what did this happen? Murders happened on the 12th. We're on the 14th. OJ hires a lawyer.
January. Where are we? January or June?
Did I say January?
June.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Robert Shapiro, who is, Shapiro began assembling his team of lawyers. This is referred to as the Dream Team. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this Dream Team. I love it. We have Robert Shapiro, Johnny Cochran, Carl Douglas, Sean Chapman, Gerald Ullman, Robert Kardashian, Alan Dershowitz, F. Lee Bailey, Barry Scheck, Peter Neufeld, Robert Bezier, and William Thompson. Now, I'm just going to tell you about a couple of those, the top ones. So, Shapiro was called the architect of the Simpson defense team for building this high-profile Dream Team. And he led the defense through most of the trial until Johnny Cochran took over, and he led as like the chair.
Early on, OJ described Shapiro as his quarterback.
Okay.
Like he was the guy he went to first, and he was like, put it together.
So then when Johnny Cochran joined the defense team, he kind of took over as the chair during the trial. And I think most likely because that's when they decided to focus on like the race issue. And then also, which you'll find out later in the thing that made Cochran probably the most famous was if the glove didn't fit, you must have quit.
Yeah.
So, and that was when he was referencing the scene where the prosecutors told him to try on the glove and it didn't fit, but that's a whole nother annoying thing.
Prosecutors really screwed that up. Yeah.
They had the latex glove underneath. I don't understand. Okay. Kardashian. Robert Kardashian was a close friend of OJ. So this is actually where OJ stayed. He stayed with Robert Kardashian the couple of days between when he got back from Chicago and then whenever
nobody knew where he was. Apparently he was staying in either Kim or Chloe's room.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I swear to God. And there were
he was staying there because there was so much media at his house. It was like a circus. So he was kind of like, that was his kind of little hideout. Wasn't hiding out yet.
Apparently he people say that, and anybody can like weigh in on this, that without Bob Kardashian being on that Dream Team, that the Kardashians really aren't who they are today. Like you get the Ray J sex tape and all that stuff, but it doesn't quite take off if it's not the guy from the Dream Team star. People say that.
And I think he was he was an attorney, and
but
then
he was like one of OJ's best buddies.
Okay, so he must have, because then
they were like boys.
I thought Nicole and Chris at one point.
Yeah, they all hung together.
I think they were both waitresses or something together before they met the rich guys.
I know they were like close friends.
Chris was a flight attendant. That's when she met Bob Kardashian. But yeah, I think they were like they were foxes together, like back in the scene. Yeah.
That's back when she was married to Bruce Jenner.
Yeah.
Formerly known as.
To recognize his real name.
I hate to say his dead name, but that's what they call it,
And remember, they used to say that
that's
Chloe.
What they call it?
I did not know that.
That your name is dead now?
No, if I go and I'm like, Ellen Page is in Juno. Oh, bitch, don't say it. That's her dead name.
Yeah.
Because now he's Elliot. And it's called dead naming.
Dead name. Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't know, but now I just want to teach y'all something.
I do remember that there were rumors that OJ was actually Chloe's dad, because remember Chloe had the thick lips and the big booty.
Oh, well, now she looks like a
Yeah.
I don't know. They're taking their butts out and everything now, and now they're skinny and blonde.
Yeah.
And they're dating skinny white guys. Except for actually, she just got
a surrogate
with Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
So now she's having another baby with Tristan. So that's good. That's good for her. So happy.
That's good. It's news.
Yep. Okay, where was I? Kardashian. So that's where he kind of hung out before the Bronco situation happened. I have two more. F. Lee Bailey, his most notable contribution to the defense was he cross-examined Mark Furman. And he, like, all these names are coming back, right? He was
Rodney King.
He was the LAP investigator. And Bailey got Furman to plead.
He wasn't involved with Rodney King, but he was painted, and a lot of people, he was a racist.
Yes.
So he was almost linked to that whole dynamic of LAPD, right? Like they are racist cops. And,
and it was horrible back then.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
That's a huge part of it.
So Mark Furman had nothing to do with Rodney King. He was all OJ.
No, it's just because those officers who were a part of it got off and did not get convicted for anything. They were all innocent, and so that made this huge. That was this huge. And so then they. This is how the jury, because the jury was made up of mostly African American people. I think it was like
For sure, yeah.
Like 9-3 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And so that's, I guess once they found out that was their jury, then they got Johnny Cochran in there because he was going to push civil rights. He was going to push the race card. And
even though OJ didn't even want to be black.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's
the other thing that's like, so the irony of it.
But you can't discard that, like, Los Angeles was that they were shitty to minorities. The cops were. So it's like, so minorities had a right to be pissed off, and this was like the perfect storm.
And even in that show, that OJ 25 or like two of the jurors even said like, I was getting back at.
I can see it. Yeah. Like I can see it. Like how many innocent black men are in jail? Let this one get off. Let's go and let OJ get off.
I know. Feel like pick a different one. So F. Lee Bailey was known for he was the one who cross-examined Furman and was able to get him to plead the fifth based on his responses, and he like lied because he had lied about. We'll talk about it. Yeah. And then last one is this Alan Dershowitz, which I mean he was a Harvard. I don't know anything about. I don't know what that is. I couldn't even pronounce it. So I just wrote he was like a Harvard law professor,
and he got this guy Klaus von Bülow off. Klaus was a super wealthy guy, and he murdered his wife.
I do have a coworker who came in.
There was a movie called Reversal of Fortune.
Okay.
And basically, it chronicles this guy. I think it was like an Oscar nominated or somebody won an Oscar. But anyways, Dershowitz represented this very wealthy guy who got off for killing his wife. And all signs pointed to, once again, this rich guy really did kill his wife. So Dershowitz came into this like, this guy is, he can make you some chicken salad out of chicken shit if you're looking to get off a murder charge.
Okay.
Not only did he represent that person, he represented Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey Weinstein.
He did?
Oh.
Wow.
And he also served as a member of the legal team for Donald Trump during his first impeachment trial. This is all from Wikipedia, so it can be edited.
Yeah.
Okay, June 16th, moving right along.
Yeah.
We are still not to the Bronco chase. We are now at the funeral. And
we're about to be at Juneteenth.
Oh, damn. You are so right.
They don't got no chance of prosecuting his ass
you
on
are
Juneteenth.
Absolutely right. So, okay, this was the funeral or wake. I don't know. It's called both of them. And OJ attended because at this point they don't think that
they're not sure.
Well, there's certain people think he did it, but certain people don't.
Yeah. I mean,
all the white people. Yeah.
Right.
All her family probably in the beginning, right?
I don't know what
all her
said.
friends.
I think
they were shaken up. One of the sisters, Denise, was like sure of it.
Yes, Denise had seen a bunch of stuff.
And a couple of them, I think, or one of the other sisters wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But like, I guess like what happened after the funeral. The funeral, he shows up and he's all messed up on Xanax. It's like, go ahead, yeah.
Yes. Okay, so whenever he gets there, and this is also from his interview, he says that he remembers being so out of it that he doesn't remember. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I'm at a funeral? Like, whose funeral am I at? Like, really, bro? And he's like, who died? Like, what? And so he was heavily medicated. And at one point, she had an open casket. I mean, they obviously had like a turtleneck on her because your neck is slit.
Yeah, but there's, I guess, makeup and...
I know. They had to just cover up that neck because it was barely hanging on. But anyway, he leans over the casket to give her a kiss. He said somebody had asked somebody was close by and was like, what did you say? Because they said that they heard him say, I'm sorry. But he says he didn't say anything. However, how he felt is the issue, because he said he had so many feelings of anger.
Yeah, he was still mad at her.
He was still so mad at her.
Yeah.
He said, I had so much anger upon her death, and that anger just didn't disappear. He said, I was still trying to deal with the fact that I'm not going to be able to tell her the things I wanted to tell her. And I tried to tell her back in that night, whenever they played that 911 call, and I was trying to tell her. Basically, like, I was trying to tell her I was going to kill you, and now you're dead and you're here, and now I can't tell you what I want to tell you, and I can't change your mind about anything, and now I won't ever have the same effect on you that I'll never have the effect on you ever again.
I shouldn't have killed you because now I can't bully you.
Yes.
Basically,
So he's basically standing over her body, and he's thinking, didn't I tell you I was going to kill you? Didn't I tell you?
Yeah, like I basically, like I told you so.
He was so angry that killing her did not resolve anything for him.
Yeah,
But then there was even no emotion in the Charlie interview. Like, there was no sadness. There was he was just like lackadaisically talking a lot about it, laughing about it.
No, I don't think there's not ever been any.
He don't have remorse at all.
Well, his thing was he was going to, once he got off, he was like, I'm going to dedicate my life to finding the killer. And people used to always be like, OJ, is the killer on the golf course with you?
Yeah,
dude?
that's what I'm saying, like, on the golf course?
Where's Charlie?
Yeah.
Wow.
5 days after the murders, OJ's attorneys negotiate his surrender to police, and it was agreed that he would turn himself in at 11 a.m. on June 17th.
Yeah.
Not Juneteenth, June 17th. Getting close. So detectives recommend that Simpson was going to be charged with two counts of first-degree murder, and they were going to wait till the final DNA test came back. And then once they came back, they were going to arrest him and all this stuff.
So the DNA test of the blood in the car?
Like, because at the scene, it was Nicole's blood, Ron's blood, and it was OJ's blood.
Oh.
So, like, I guess making sure that it was his blood. So 11 a.m. comes around, and
by the way, one thing...
That could be argued, though, in the thing.
It could, and it is argued. One thing, too, so OJ was OJ, right? He's such a celebrity that he basically gets interviewed by these two police officers without an attorney. He's like, sure, I'll talk to the police.
Oh, yes.
So he goes and he talks to these two cops, Lang and Van Adder, right? And he talks to them. They have the one chance to talk to him and ask him anything to get crazy thoughts on the record, and they couldn't pin him down. They couldn't pin down a timeline. These guys bungled that question and answer session. It was really the one time they had him, and then they just let him go. Like, they didn't keep him in custody. They could have kept him in custody. They could have held him, and they didn't. And it was like, well, why would they let him go? Because he's OJ. Like, where's he going to go? And that was like the begining of the celebrity, like part of this treatment this dude got because he was OJ. Like, hey, he's The Rock. Okay, so he's going to turn back up. Like,
and before him, was there any major, like, celebrity athlete that committed anything?
I mean,
like that?
Not that I can think of.
I feel like he was the one.
He was probably the first one.
And then after that, you got Ray Caruth, and you got Aaron Hernandez, and you got LJ like made people realize that, oh wait, just because they're celebrities, they are human and can do shit.
Yeah. So it's 11 a.m. He's supposed to turn himself in, and police agreed that they would delay him for an hour. He could do it at noon because, OJ gets what he wants. And because he was going to be seen by a mental health specialist because he was showing signs of suicidal depression. He had updated his will. He called his mother and his children, and he wrote 3 sealed letters. One of them to his children, one to his mother, and one to the public. And I'm pretty sure Robert Kardashian read one of them to the public. More than 1,000 reporters waited for Simpson at the police station.
One Parker Center, which I think.
But he never showed up.
Yeah.
Oh, where'd he go? Back to McDonald's?
No, he didn't ever showed up. And so
this
they
is
were
a
like,
zoo. There's press everywhere.
Yes.
And this one
And they're like,
guy,
wait, at the police conference, like they're waiting. And they're like, where is he? Where is he?
And everybody,
Where is he?
the one guy from the media talks about, hey, everybody, this guy had goodwill. Whoever the sheriff's deputy was, or whoever the commander was, and he's like, hey, we'll have him here at 12. And that guy had to stand in front and say, like, OJ's not here.
Sorry.
Yeah. So the LAPD notified Shapiro and said that, well, we're just going to have to go to Kardashian's house to go arrest OJ. And at that point, OJ's friend AC
Al Cowens.
Yeah, Al Cowens.
His teammate, they grew up together. They're best buddies.
Okay, yeah. And so we call him AC. Or they call him AC.
Yeah.
But yes. So he picks him up. He picks OJ up and he's going to take him to the police station. Okay. So all of a sudden, he's not showing up at the police station. He's not at the Kardashians' house. And it's like they go on and they finally declare that OJ Simpson is a fugitive. And there's an all points bulletin, and he now has a warrant out for his arrest. So AC arrives, picks OJ up, gonna take him to the police station, but OJ decides he wants to go to Nicole's house. Now, why would he want to go to Nicole's house?
I don't know.
Why does a murderer ever want to go back to a place that they murdered somebody?
To revisit it.
To revisit.
You guys do this a lot, I'm guessing.
But OJ's like, take me to Nicole's house, take me to Nicole's house, take me to Nicole's house. He wants to smell the blood. He wants to just I need it. He just needs it. Well, cops were everywhere. So he's like, take me to the graveyard, take me to where she was buried. So he's like starting to lose it. And so he goes, he said, there's too many cops over there, take him to the gravesite. He then said he was in so much pain. He wanted the pain to stop. He couldn't sit in a cell for the rest of his life because he had to take care of his children. And then he starts to threaten to kill himself. And that's where we end for today.
One last thing about this chase. So this is we can wrap it up with this. No, we can just wrap it up. This is my personal experience.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there with my buddies. It's my summer going to my senior year. We're getting drunk, smoking weed. We're going to watch the Knicks play the Houston Rockets in game, I think, 3 of the NBA Finals.
Oh my God, your memory.
So we're watching this game. We're watching this game, right? And all of a sudden,
it's a savant.
Breaking news.
So yes, they interrupt
the finals for this OJ chase. It's crazy. And so all of a sudden, the chase becomes such a big deal that they put the fucking game in a box, and OJ is the thing, and the game. We're like, and at the point in time, we're like, oh, I guess OJ is the big deal. Yeah.
Yes.
And so
it was the most intense slow speed chase.
Oh yeah, you've ever seen in your life. Yeah.
So we're gonna continue with part 2 next week.
I just need to know how they caught. Do they put the spikes out when they caught him?
Listen, you don't even need to know that right now.
Oh my goodness.
You gotta hang on and hang out. What does that mean?
We gotta hang tough? Is the new kids on the block?
Hang out, hang tough, and get you a pineapple bag, girl.
Oh my goodness, that was so much fun. Okay, I'm not gonna watch anything, even though I want to.
Pete, you have to come back. Obviously,
I'm back.
I mean, we're gonna have to figure. Yeah,
I'm back the next time you guys want to do it.
Okay, we gotta finish it up.
Well, we gotta finish the story. Yeah.
like skimp on OJ, so that's why it's been.
Oh, look, I'm like so in with this.
Yeah. Like, because I
honestly was like, how are we going to do this in like a one sitting? So it's perfect.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. No.
So part 2, y'all's mouth are watering. My mouth is watering.
Your mouth is watering. You literally had no idea.
I'm so torn because I got my white side and my Mexican side that are like, OJ did it, but then my black side wants to say, go let him take one for the team.
Listen, OJ out here on damn Twitter. He's over here talking about Roe v. Wade.
Yeah,
and his dumb ass is like, I think we need to have women's right to choose. And I'm like, really, bro? You slit her throat all the way to her neck, all the way to her back spine.
Yeah.
Women's right to choose.
When something big happens, he'll wait. Hey,
I'm gonna
Twitter
follow
world,
him.
it's OJ.
Can we talk about why he was arrested
world.
this last time? What happened? What was the whole? Well, y'all tune in next
it's
week
me, yours
to
truly.
part 2.
Well, it's my Twitter
so
site.
much for having me.
Let's start
It was
with
a blast. Pete will be.
Wait,
Stop it.
wait, one more.
Hey, Twitter world, it's me, yours truly. Happy Sunday. Well, it's my Twitter site, so it's my opinion. Let's start with Roe versus Wade. I thought it was a horrible decision. I think women should have the right to decide what happens with their bodies.
Oh, really, OJ?
Do you?
Really, OJ?
Yeah.
Come on now. OJ. I ain't even.
Nicole didn't have the right to
She did
decide
not.
who she
No,
wanted
she
to
did not.
have sex with.
That you was going to chop off her head, basically.
Oh, okay. So, Pete, you were a blast. You got to come back for part 2. We got to finish strong.
But please
on
don't
this.
get so drunk next time.
Yeah, don't get so drunk.
Don't get so drunk. Don't get so hammered.
You
next
guys
time.
really handle yourselves well. I mean, I honestly, I forgot you were drinking, and then the way you guys do this is awesome. I'm like, it's like the definition of chemistry, and it's what the whole thing is. You guys got a good thing going.
Thank you. So we
love
can't
it.
fire each other then, huh?
No, we can't.
No, I guess we're stuck. Y'all, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to
stay aware.
Stay alive.
And always be DTF.
See y'all next week.
Peace out.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.